Evening, everybody, and welcome to this Zoom webinar forum with the primary candidates for the 2025 to 2028 Kitsap County Commissioner District number 2. It's sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Kitsap County. I am Riley Abel. I'll be moderating tonight's event. The League of Women Voters is proud to be a nonpartisan organization and does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. The League envisions a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. Before we begin, the League would like to acknowledge that our homes and gathering places in present-day Kitsap County are within the ancestral territories of the Suquamish and Clallam peoples who have lived in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish and the Clallam live and protect the land and waters of our ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855 and by the Point No Point Treaty of 1855. Today's questions were sourced entirely from our community. We did that through the League website. We have a new one. It's brand new. It's fantastic. You should check it out. There's lots of information there. There's information about the forum that will be here on Thursday, and there will be future forums, and you can find information about that as well. The candidates will be asked questions that cover a range of topics and issues pertinent to Kitsap County, and specifically the 2nd District. Today, the candidates, we have 3 of the candidates today. The candidates in the primary are Jeff Coughlin, Sean Murphy, Matt Macklin, Orrin Root, Stacy Spencer-Smith, and Paul Newcombs. So today we have Stacy, Matt, and Jeff. The other 3 participants did not join with us. The current county commissioner for District 2, Charlotte Garrido, has chosen not to run this year, so none of the participants today is the incumbent. Thank you all, by the way, participants, for offering your skills and talents in service to the community. You deserve our respect and each other's. So please remember that this is a forum and not a debate. So we ask you to respond to the provided questions only and remain civil to each other along the way. So I've informed the candidates of the format, but I'd like to repeat it for everybody else. What we're going to do is have a 90-second opening statement for each candidate. After that, each candidate will be given 60 seconds to respond to the questions that we have ready for us. At the very end, there will be a 90-second closing statement for each candidate. And we're going to we're going to rotate who answers first. We're going to start in the order of the ballot. So Jeff, you will be first for your opening statement. And after that, Matt will answer the first question. And after that, Stacy will answer the second question. And then we'll go back to the top of the order, essentially. Our timekeeper, Candy Rankin, is here, and she will keep everything honest using an electronic clock. So let's get started. Remember, in the interest of everybody's time, try to keep really close to those timers. So let's start with Jeff Coughlin. Your name starts first on the ballot. Would you please give us an opening statement?
Fantastic. Well, let me say, first of all, thank you so much to the League for hosting this vital part of our democracy. Thanks to all the engaged voters watching. I'm Jeff Coughlin. I've proudly lived in Kitsap with my husband in District 2 for over a decade. He's an engineer at the shipyard, and we're raising our son in Kitsap. And I just work every day to make our community a better place for both our generation and his. I volunteer as director of the nonprofit Kitsap History Museum, so I've run a small business and I know our county's diverse and rich past. I'm a PhD scientist, so I value database decision-making and seeking out as much community input as possible to make those decisions. I'm a certified project manager and I was a director at NASA. So I know how to deliver big projects and manage teams. Locally, I volunteered for a few years on the City Planning Commission, and then I ran for and was elected to City Council. I've consistently engaged with my constituents and delivered for them. I was elected council president by my fellow council members to lead them, and I got to serve on the Kitsap and Puget Sound regional councils, working with officials from other jurisdictions across the county and state. I believe I'm the only candidate with the experience doing everything a county commissioner does. I'm running to connect Kitsap to tackle the tough issues that we're going to be discussing tonight in partnership with our cities and towns, tribes, nonprofits, public agencies, and private businesses. And most of all, I want to be a strong voice for South Kitsap to make sure we get our fair share and the attention we deserve. I'm proud to be endorsed by state reps like Greg Nance, candidates like Addison Richards and Bryn Felix, Dave Upthegrove, and nearly a dozen council members across Kitsap. So I humbly ask for your vote for us to start bridging our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Matt, will you go next, please? Oh, and feel free to, all of you the candidates can stay off mute. if there's nothing going on in the background.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Macklin, and I'm honored to be your candidate for Kitsap County Commissioner District 2. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. It's my second time here, but for a different position this year. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm an attorney, and I'm a healthcare advocate. I come from a hardworking Midwest Rust Belt family. My father was a union welder and my mother a nurse. Their values have driven me and guided me as a healthcare executive and a business attorney. My parents and my ancestors have always set an example with their commitment to both human rights and civil rights, going back as far as Selma. Now, that commitment drives my commitment to public service. My partner, Amanda, a nurse practitioner, caring for the most vulnerable in our county right here, and I, along with our 4 children, Chase, Malcolm, Bennett, and Zola, and our 3 dogs, Prince, Callie, and Stella, are proud residents, students, and lovers of South Kitsap. I'm coming to you right now from my office in Manchester, overlooking the park. One of my top priorities is enhancing healthcare access through likely a public hospital district that ensures equity, high quality care for all. And as a co-founder of the Alliance for Equitable Healthcare, I've worked towards this mission, leveraging my experience of managing large healthcare systems and budgets of nearly 120 million and leading teams as large as 1,000. Environmental sustainability is also crucial. By advocating for renewable energy and sustainable transportation, we need to protect our environment while creating green jobs. Economic equality is at the heart of my campaign. Finally, I would like for your vote this fall to help us create a more sustainable and prosperous community. Thank you, and I look forward to tonight's discussion.
Thank you, Matt. Stacy, your opening statement.
All right. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. My name is Stacy Smith, and I'm running to represent you in Kitsap County Board of County Commissioners. I'm a resident of Kitsap County for over 50 years and a resident of South Kitsap for over 30 years, where I've raised my family. I've worked for Kitsap County in a variety of roles for the last 25 years. The last decade, I've been the county's Director of Aging and Long-Term Care, where I manage an $8 million budget, 45 employees, and daily operations to ensure our older adults, people with disabilities, and their caregivers remain safe at home. I've also been a licensed child and family therapist for the last 18 years and have represented District 2 on the county's Planning Commission since 2021. 2021. I'm running for county commissioner to ensure everyone has the opportunity to thrive, address the affordable housing crisis, increase behavioral health access, support our schools, and maintain a clean environment. My entire career has led to this campaign. I'm not interested in running for any other political office. This has been my lifelong goal. I'm proud to have the sole endorsement of the retiring County Commissioner Charlotte Garrido, as well as the most endorsements from elected leaders across District 2 and members of our community. Please check out my website to learn more at smithforkitsap.com or my email at info@smithforkitsap.com. I want to be your advocate for our future in District 2 and would be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, let's get into our questions. So with that rotating order, Matt, you'll be the first person to respond. Our first question is, what is the largest budget that you've had a significant role in creating or voting for? Which organization was that with? And which factors went into your budget process?
Well, that's a lot of question in one, but to pull it apart, I have an extensive experience with both developing budgets from the ground up. In my practice as an attorney, I help small business owners and large corporations alike start, develop, grow, acquire. As a nursing home administrator, I started out with my smallest budget when I was 22 of $8 million. I extended that up to as much as 120 million, depending on the size of the organization in which I was overseeing. That largest budget was with a company called Consulate Healthcare. They're one of the largest healthcare providers of post-acute care in the country. I'm proud to have been able to work and learn from them. My mentor, who is the CEO of that company now, actually got me started out here in Washington as a nursing home administrator. But to answer your question, I'm the only candidate in this race that has the experience with large budgets, large multidisciplinary teams, and actually starting programs from the ground up. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Stacy, you are next to answer.
All right, so the largest budget was with when I was with the public mental health system here in Kitsap County under Human Services. It was a $32 million budget. It was the largest special revenue budget that Kitsap County even retained at that time. And we kept a very small, and it was a 3-county program. So it was for Kitsap, Jefferson, and Clallam counties. And it was to serve all people through our public mental health system. It was capitated. It was risk-based, which means that we had to manage inpatient and outpatient on the daily per member per month rate. So it had a very much of an insurance model. We did as much as we could to ensure a lean administrative fund of 3% so that we could get as much money possible into our community, our comprehensive mental health centers, and supporting our vulnerable people. I would say I launched new programs, and I was actually in 2003 designated from the Mental Health Council for Children's Services as implementing a new program out in our area in that program. Thanks.
Thank you. Jeff?
Oh, thank you. So the largest budget I've been involved with is the city of Bremerton, which is a bit over $200 million, close to the county's, $500 million. And I've been part of that budget process, similar to the county, where currently there are a lot of asks, and while revenues are kind of flat, costs have been increasing, and so you have to make hard decisions. So I've heard from directors and weighed priorities across public works, police, fire, parks, and how to balance it all. But most importantly, I've conducted outreach to citizens, hearing from folks, and we've initiated a new process to really get citizen-led budget priorities to let them determine what our priorities are. So I've made those hard decisions before on which staffing we have to keep, what we have to prioritize. And I've also learned through that you have to get creative. There are a lot of grants. If we work with our county, our state, our federal partners, when times get tough, kind of like we're in now, getting those grants and having those relationships are key. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if that was too many questions, let's give a slightly easier one. What are your top priorities for your first year in office, and what would you like to have accomplished by the time you finish your term? And that'll be Stacy to start, please.
Yeah, so my top priorities are what I mentioned in my opening statement, which is ensuring that everybody has an opportunity to thrive. I'm looking at addressing our affordable housing crisis, and I say that through the continuum of housing, from the unhoused to supportive pathways to getting to permanent housing, to staving off our rental market, to that American dream of affording your first home. So it's all of that. It's that big comprehensive picture. And I do that work today through the Kitsap County Department of Community Development Planning Commission as we look 20 years forward to how to meet our local needs. I'm also interested in increasing our behavioral health care access, because as a mental health provider, I understand the importance of social emotional health to every individual in our community. I also support our schools, and it's important that we maintain our clean environment. At the end of my session, I hope to see that our housing crisis has staved off our rentals. We have more options for our unhoused, and we are a healthier community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, you're next.
Thank you. And can you repeat the very first part of that question?
Yeah, what are your top priorities for your first year in office, and what would you like to have accomplished by the time you finish your term? Don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to repeat questions.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to say first 100 days is meeting with all of our county staff. An important part about being a county commissioner is not just setting policy, but being an administrator and making sure our staff are supported and we value them. In the first year and onwards, I want to tackle attainable housing, sustainable growth. We'll have the comp plan, and we need to start implementing that to expand the types of attainable housing we can get and make sure we grow sustainably. Access to quality health care. I want to continue the work I've been doing to attract more healthcare providers to the county. Connected and reliable transportation. I want to continue the work I've been doing to fix our ferries. And we are making progress, but we have more to go. But I envision after a couple of years, we will get full service back to us. Roads and complete streets, making this entire county a place where you can bike and hike, roll and stroll. Economic vitality, increasing tourism and supporting our small businesses and improving our permitting department. And finally, public safety and support, making sure this is a community that is safe and that we increase our mental health and substance abuse treatment, which is so desperately needed.
Thank you. Matt?
Thanks a lot. At the heart of the housing crisis in Kitsap County, it's more of a national issue. It lies in a combination of factors really that include the rapid population growth that we are seeing here in the county, housing supply, as one of my colleagues mentioned, and overall rising costs. These imbalances have made it increasingly difficult for most people to afford any quality housing, and it's reflected in a broader national issue. So I think that's the first step in understanding the big picture. As my role as county commissioner in the first year, affordable housing is key. However, there are more integrated pieces to the puzzle that are going to get us the biggest bang for our buck. That lies in healthcare access, and that's across the spectrum of mental health care services. That's across access to prevent critical care. That's getting upstream to the problem and stopping mental health crisis before it gets there, which means enhancing primary care. That also gets us to the point where we have homelessness and addictions issues. As we look at the picture, we have to make sure that we're looking at all the moving parts that affect the whole and address it as for. That's with healthcare primarily. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so a lot of these are going to overlap. You've touched on this already, but how will you encourage economic development in South Kitsap and improve the infrastructure to support current and potential growth? This will start with Stacy. Oh, no, it's Jeff. Sorry. Start with Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh, great question. So as far as economic development goes, I think the very first thing we need to keep working on is the county permitting system. There's been a crisis in the permitting department that is affecting things like healthcare. We had an emergency room that almost took a year to get permits. And if you can imagine, it took a year for that, the permits that are ongoing for our small businesses. And every month that they have to stay open and pay staff and pay rent is a burden. So that's the first thing the county can do to fix it. As far as infrastructure goes, obviously, again, our ferries are huge. We need to keep fighting to fix our ferries and continue the good work we've been doing to get state resources. I served on the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance Board, and they have a plan called One Kitsap that is a really good plan. We have some great land in South Kitsap, the Puget Sound Industrial Center, formerly the South Kitsap Industrial Center, that is ripe for economic development. So reaching out across the state and the country, we can really bring in some quality jobs to this area.
Thank you. And Matt, you'll be next.
Could you repeat the question just one more time? I want to make sure I got that second part.
Of course. How will you encourage economic development in South Kitsap and improve the infrastructure to support that current and potential growth?
Very good. So economic growth in South Kitsap and supporting local businesses is really a central part of my vision. It's a second prong, really. I understand the importance of business thriving in our community and understand the benefits to everyone, especially under our structure of a sales tax-based model. To encourage economic growth, we really have to put the support into small business and local business growth. We need to, first of all, understand the current situation with the permitting issue in DCD and understand DCD's self-funding model. They have made some strides in the permitting process and automating that, making it public and whatnot. But I'm the only person in this race that has the experience with regulatory compliance, administrative law, and actual frontline operations that can help refine that process with DCD to help make businesses succeed on the front end instead of the back end. Also, public-private partnerships. There's no better way than to spend someone else's money. And what I mean is spending corporations' money and incentivizing in the same way we would with the public hospital district, private organizations to do our bidding, so to speak. We can control where the money goes and where the economic development goes by creating incentive, not just in the form of tax breaks, but in the form of driving our agenda.
Thanks, Matt. Stacy?
And I'm going to ask you if you can please repeat that question as well.
Absolutely. How will you encourage economic development in South Kitsap and improve the infrastructure to support that current and potential growth?
All right, so I'd like to remind folks that the Port of Bremerton, right, that is outside and inside the South Kitsap borders, is ranked the #1 port in the state of Washington. And their #1 mission is to ensure our economic prosperity. So I would look to what's working. I would look to our Port of Bremerton experts. I would also look to our city experts. We have city council members and mayors that are doing really innovative things. And the county just needs to get more involved in cooperation of those efforts that are already underway. So as the next county commissioner, I would strengthen those relationships. I would also look for our own opportunities to support inside Kitsap County how we can deliver better service. So we've talked about the infrastructure with local business that, our auditor's office supports a lot of the licenses. And then I would talk about and work with our public works, which is the infrastructures with roads and sewer systems. And then of course, we've got our community development department, which I'm already a planning commissioner and understand some of those difficulties that are currently being addressed.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, Matt, this next question will start with you. Impact fees and property taxes are important sources of income for the county's infrastructure budget. Do you think our current fees and taxes are sufficient, or should they be increased or decreased?
Well, in my over 20 years experience in running organizations and evaluating budgets, both small, large, profit, and for-profit, there's always waste. There's always ways to save money. There's always way to integrate and modify systems so that money can be moved to elsewhere. So is it sufficient? Well, the obvious answer is there's never enough money. Money is finite. Our budget is finite. So the key is to evaluate what our current costs are covered, where there's opportunities to create savings and implement those savings in smart ways that return on our goals and investments before we implement any further taxes. Just for instance, the public hospital district, it would, by the statute, take anywhere from a 35 cent to a dollar of taxing per, can't remember the amount of property tax to start that district up. But the idea is that over the first several years, the system becomes self-sufficient and the tax goes away. So those are the types of innovative tax solutions that I would support.
Thank you. Stacy?
Yeah, so let's remember that our impact fees are to cover our costs, period. So it's not a for-profit mechanism. It truly is to cover costs of doing business. And so I would look to see is our current impact fees meeting what the cost is to do business. So that would help inform me as to whether that would be a smart idea to encourage increasing those or not. But I also know that the cost of building is going up and every little fee adds on, and we're trying to address our housing issues. So I would have a responsibility to keep that also in the forefront. Let's talk about property taxes. So Kitsap County does receive property taxes, but they then give it out to junior taxing districts. It doesn't all stay with Kitsap County. It goes to our schools, it goes to our local EMS, it goes to our PUD, our public utilities. And then if you're within city limits, it goes to our city partners. And so those property taxes play an important role in our county government, but also remember that it doesn't all just come back to Kitsap County.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thanks. I really value this as a delicate balance. As a county, we need to justify every cent that we collect and we spend, and we owe that to the taxpayers. As said, impact fees are a balance. You raise them too much and you've increased the cost of housing, which is already, an all-time high. But you do need to cover the impact of development on not only our roads, but they pay for parks and other amenities. And so when we study that, I think that's exactly the right thing, is you just need to periodically evaluate it every year. I would make that decision based on the data we ask for every year to see where they're set at. And as far as property taxes go, I turn it back to the citizens. It's up to them. What do they want? Do they want thriving schools and parks, sufficient transportation infrastructure? As Matt mentioned, a public hospital district, a very small increase for a big impact on increasing healthcare in the county. Those are the decisions we should put to the voters every year and let them decide what level of service they want from us.
Thank you. All right, let's get into some nitty-gritty stuff. We've got this year, Washington's Growth Management Act. Washington's Growth Management Act mandates a county comprehensive plan for 20 years of development to take place at least every 10 years. And this is the year that the county is doing it. So there has been lots of public comment about it. And the question is, if you were currently serving as commissioner, what would your priorities and concerns be with the current plan? Stacy, this starts with you.
Yeah, so this is a great question because I've had those concerns as we've already been through this process as a planning commissioner the last 4 years. So the work studies are really important. So you understand the options that are available that the county is working on and working in cooperation with the cities, because the cities also have to submit their own comprehensive plan. So we're all working in coordination. So I would say it's important to keep in mind what we're talking about, managing our growth. We have to get out of our mindset in Kitsap County of having single family homes and be looking at other innovative ways like our duplexes, our triplexes, looking at multi-generational homes, looking at the ability to have auxiliary dwelling units and our ordinances that allow for more density in our areas that makes sense. So I'm thinking about Silverdale, Kingston, outside of the Bremerton city limits, Port Orchard, in unincorporated areas, have some of those areas. So those are the things I would keep in mind.
Thank you, Stacy. Jeff?
Yeah, it's so important because what we are asking ourselves is what do we want to look like in 20 years, right? The citizens and us get to give input on what we want this place to look like. So I've served on planning commission and agree missing middle housing is a huge component, and I think we're making good progress on that. And I'm tackling the comp plan on council. So the questions you have to ask is how do you balance growth with our beautiful area that we're in? And so I think the current direction of the commissioners is in the right way. It's let's focus that growth in our existing urban areas. Let's be smart about allowing multiple forms of housing to do infill and multifamily residential. But it's a great point that the city and counties really need partnership. And that's the one thing I think is lacking, having served on the city side. We have jagged boundaries. So many people don't know if they live in or out of a city limits, if they're in a county or not. And we need to make sure that those boundaries aren't sudden, where you go from super low density all of a sudden to high density. So future cooperation will be key.
Thank you, Jeff. Matt?
So I've thought and talked about the UGA and its failures really as a system now, and the concern with how the county has managed it. And it's not to any fault of their own. I don't think it's super unique to the county. But I think that the UGA needs some updating. First, the coordination of intergovernmental conflicts, so to speak. So if there's an impasse between government entities on the plan, there really is no resolution unless the entity has stepped outside of the rules of the act, and that's not very often. But managing and resolving those disputes is the key to moving the county forward as a whole. I think it's essential that we protect green space outside of the growth areas and that we build up instead of out. What we see today is the effect of not having a comprehensive plan that works. We see sprawling everywhere. We see new developments popping up, and we see our green space disappearing. So as a policy, I would like to see better integration even with the work groups. The work groups have very unique and appropriate plans for the areas they cover, but that area isn't integrated into one comprehensive plan that balances all of the values that we're seeking.
Thank you. Okay. So I did some quick math, and according to a couple Google searches, about 73% of the South Kitsap population lives outside of Port Orchard. Don't quote me on that. How would you, as a commissioner, ensure that people living in unincorporated areas are still having their voices heard? And this one will start with Jeff.
Perfect. What I would do is keep doing what I've done on council, and that is use every form of communication possible. So I have gone to every neighborhood meeting that there is. I've gone to every business and nonprofit meeting and group. I've made it easy for people to access me if they want to meet at a coffee shop or at their home. I've been going to the Manchester Advisory Community Council meetings, which I think is a fantastic forum, and we should get more of those because that is the great way to get feedback. So the first key is just going everywhere as a commissioner. That's what I would do. The second is making it easier for folks to stay informed and give feedback. On council, I crafted and got past the first official social media for council members. So I've been able to inform my constituents that way. And I think the county can do some extra work there. And it's allowed people to write into me and let me know any issues that are happening. Furthermore, we can always streamline that See, Click, Fix app and just make it easier for people to report issues and stay engaged.
Thank you very much. Matt?
Yeah, always on duty. There's no replacement for presence. Being present in the community is key. As a father, as a business owner, that opens up unique ways to be involved. I've always had an open door policy as a professional, but more than the open door is being at those community events. Volunteering within our community. I volunteer and I provide legal services for our Kitsap Student Union, the Friends of Manchester Library. I love salmon, the salmon bake. All of the things in our community that are fun are also points that people can access us. Always on stage, as Disney used to say, right? Well, when we're here as residents, we care about this community so deeply that we're not off duty at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, midnight. If something happens in our communities, you can count on me being there. It's the way I've always been wired. It's the way I've always worked. It is really the only way to take care of something that means something to you.
Thank you. Stacy?
And would you repeat that question one more time, please?
Absolutely. So about 73% of South Kitsap's population lives outside of Port Orchard. So how would you, as a commissioner, ensure that people living in unincorporated areas are still having their voices heard?
So I represent South Kitsap District 2. I represent the community I currently live in. I've lived in this community for 30 years, and I know how to outreach. Communication is key when you're a county government organization. We need to make sure that our community members know using social media for information, meeting invitations, going to when they have their local meetings as neighbors, using press releases has always been traditional. We could also use our newspaper articles, announce at our standing meetings. So the Board of County Commissioners meet, twice a month. You can always do a public comment there. But what's most important is there's already an existing communication form on the county's website. So you can sign up for Gov delivery notifications to come directly to you for items that you want to know to your phone or your email every day. So I would solicit that feedback. I would let people know where we are in our plans. I would have forums, local town halls. They could call me, they could email me. My experience in county government and needs assessment, I am ready to take this and be equipped to be the voice of District 2 as we continue to grow.
Thank you. Okay, so this will be our last question, and we'll start with Matt, I believe. This is going to be adjacent to some things that you've already said, but here we go. Kitsap County Commissioners sit on a number of boards and committees. What specific board or committee do you look forward to being a part of?
Well, we all could probably guess, but the health district would certainly be something I'm interested in. The planning board would also be something I'm interested in. I've been able to be successful in any role that I've ever sat in by working through the smart people around me. What I've always been good at is coordinating those voices. So when it comes to having a little bit of knowledgeability in the specific areas that sit on the board, as well as having a bunch of other smart people around me, I think we can make some real progress and some real innovation really quickly, and really move things forward in a way that our county has never seen before. I think what our county is lacking is not subject matter experience. It's not desire. It's not commitment. It's simply coordination in some areas. I think we've also missed the game in the boat in some ways on accessing federal funds. So being able to funnel in federal funds through grants, which I've assisted and written a great many, would also be key in moving those particular boards forward.
Thank you. Stacy?
Okay, so there are about 20 different boards and committees that the Board of County Commissioners sit on and participate. Some are local to Kitsap, some are regional, like multi-county, some are statewide, so the Washington Association of Counties, and there's actually a couple of national boards through the National Association of Counties. So one that I'm super excited to be on is the Kitsap Public Health Board. I participate as a member now in those board meetings, listening as a community member. I appreciate the community project updates, status on our community's health, and then they give presentations to ensure our community is aware of the broad array of services and information that's available through our local health district. I mean, they are a talented group that I really do trust with our public health. The information is well presented, it's easily understood, and I enjoy learning about my community and how we can thrive together. So another board that I'm super excited about is the Puget Sound Regional Council, and that's because Charlotte Garrido currently sits on the executive board, and there's some natural ties with the the executive leader, Josh Brown, being a previous Kitsap County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Perfect. So, all three county commissioners serve on the Kitsap Transit Board, extremely important, and the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council. So for the ones that individuals are assigned to, as mentioned, Puget Sound Regional Council, I served on that last year. A fantastic way to give representation and money to Kitsap. and connections throughout the Puget Sound. Though of course, I would defer to Commissioner Rolfes. She has extensive experience and connections. But yeah, the Kitsap Public Health District Board is another key one. I gave a presentation to it the other week about public hospital districts. And although they're doing great work, I think they could have an even bigger and more active role in coordinating our community healthcare. And finally, KEDA, the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance, county commissioners serve on as well. And that one I think is vital as we talk about growth and prosperity and making this county a place where people want to live, work, and play. Coordinating with KEDA for economic development is absolutely crucial.
Excellent. Thank you. So we're about to do our closing statement. You'll have 90 seconds. Before that, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who provided us with questions. I see at least one person who provided us with questions in the attendees. Thank you very much for that. We're trying to ask the questions that the voters want to have answered. So thank you for participating. So our closing statements, we'll start with Stacy. Candy will have 90 seconds for that. Stacy, whenever you're ready.
All righty. Well, thank you again to the League of Women Voters. I really appreciate this forum. It gives people an opportunity to learn a little bit more about me and my strengths and why I'm running to be your next county commissioner for District 2. So as I said, my entire career has led to this campaign. I'm not interested in running for any other political office. I truly do want this as my next goal. I'm proud to have the sole endorsement of the retiring county commissioner, as well as most endorsements from other elected officials from District 2, including City Council member Fred Chang, Scott Diener, Jay Raposi, Eric Warden, and our Port Commissioner, Carrie Bozeman, School Board member, Dr. Karen Bolton, 2 public commissioners of public districts, Deborah Lester, Heather Pauley, and then retiring clerks, Dave Peterson, as well as Allison Sontag, and former City Council member, Leslie Dowgs. So my campaign has more members endorsed from our community. I have more local funding. I have more local donors. I've already reached 15,000 voters through doorbelling, phone calling, mailing, social media, and advertising. I'm grateful for every person who spent time sharing their ideas and their concerns with me about our county. So I want to be your advocate for the future of District 2 and would be honored to earn your vote. If you'd like to learn more about me or connect with me personally, please visit my website at smith4kitsap.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacy. Jeff, you are up next.
All right. Well, again, just thank you so much to the League for hosting this, for everybody tuning in. My website is kitsapforcoughlin.com. You can email me at jeff@kitsapforcoughlin.com if you have any other questions you want to ask, if you want to meet. I'm just going to speak from the heart. I believe communication and collaboration is key. I am running to be there for you for South Kitsap. I believe I am the most experienced person in this race. I'm the only one who's actually dealt with all these various issues that we're talking about tonight and gotten results on them. So I know how to hit the ground running. I'll be there talking to you and getting stuff done and delivering for South Kitsap. I have the most endorsements of elected officials across the county and the most council members. I have deep ties with the cities across this county. And it's important that when we talk about how to deliver for South Kitsap, how to get things done and get the resources that I think we need and that we've been underserved on, it's working not just within our own district, but it's working across the county and across the state. And those are the partnerships I have to know how to deliver for it. I truly, I'm running for this because I want this county to be a place that when my son grows up in 15, 20 years, he can be proud to call home. And it's a vibrant place for people to live, work, and play. And yes, hopefully he goes off and starts a life of his own, but I want him to be a place that he can move back to and be proud of. So again, I just humbly ask for your vote. Reach out to me anytime. And again, kitsapforcoughlin.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And Matt, will you close us out, please?
Thanks, Riley. So again, thank you all for coming tonight. You could be a lot of other places on this beautiful day, but you decided to be with us. I'm glad because this is an important conversation. I'm glad to have it. We need a vision that's rooted in equity, sustainability, economic empowerment. My background is the only background that's been on the front lines, handled the business, done it on the front end as a healthcare executive, as a business attorney, as a community advocate. I'm ready to tackle our complex challenges. I've done it in the private sector, and I'm the only candidate with the applicable experience to actually enhance healthcare access, support our local businesses, and to create an environment where families can thrive. I also am honored to have many endorsements, including elected officials, like our prosecutor Chad Enright, like Representative Simmons in the 23rd. Their support underscores the importance of our shared vision for Kitsap County. I'm the candidate with the most endorsements from business owners and leaders. I've spent my time meeting our new neighbors and listening what they want to see Kitsap grow into. We need leadership that listens, that acts boldly, and unites our community. Together, we can build a stronger and healthier and more prosperous Kitsap County, preserving our natural beauty and resources for future generations. For more information about me, my campaign, it's mattmacklin.com. I'm humbly asking for your vote and support, and let's create a future that we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, all of the candidates. So we appreciate your time, and thank you, voters, for attending here. I hope that this forum has given you some information that you require to choose a candidate in this primary. Voters, please remember that ballots for the primary election are due on August 6th. But of course, the league encourages you to return them as early as possible. You can do it by mail. There are ballot boxes listed on kitsapgov.com as well. These league forums are recorded, and links to the videos will soon be on our website. That's www.lwv-kitsap.org and are available on YouTube. And once again, speaking of our website, come check it out. We recently updated it. We're very proud of those results. BCAT, the Bremerton Kitsap Access Television, may also broadcast the forums on Comcast Channel 12 and Wave Broadband Channel 3. So check those local listings for the upcoming schedule. And please encourage others to learn about their candidates by viewing this and other LWV forums, and especially encourage others to vote. So candidates, you have the Kitsap County's League of Women Voters. Thanks for participating in this forum and for offering your expertise to Kitsap County. So thank you to our audience, our community members for participating in representative democracy by listening and providing thoughtful questions. Good night, and I'll say it again, don't forget to vote.
Thanks, Riley.
Thank you, everybody.